true crime, and this is a crazy, crazy case I want to talk about. So, first off, let me say welcome back. If you're been here before and you're coming back to view what I'm talking about. Also, if you're new and you've never been here before, this is a true crime channel. My name is Rebecca of Red True Crime, and welcome. And if you're new and you're just checking me out for the first time, I like to invite you to go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It gives support to the channel. It gives support to missing people, victims of crime, and it doesn't cost anything. So, if you would be so inclined, please go ahead and subscribe. So, let me give you a little background. So, you saw in the title the what we're going to be talking about is, I believe, let me make sure I got his name correct, Ryan Hinton. Now, Ryan Hinton, how can I put this? This case is very complicated, and this is a recent one too. So, Ryan Hinton is a young man from Cincinnati, Ohio, and on May 1st, he was found. He was found driving a stolen SUV, and when he was pulled over, he took off and he had a gun in his possession. Now, it's on body cam footage that the officer chased him down, and officer shot him and killed him. Now, the body cam footage doesn't show Ryan Hinton turning around aiming the gun, but he did have a gun on him. So that's one thing up for, people are talking about, like, okay, did he have a gun? Did he not have a gun? He did, in fact, have a gun, but was he pointing it at the officer is the question. Now, this isn't bad enough that this kid was killed over just pure stupidity. His father, days later, or actually the very next day, was so distraught over his son's dying, passing. He went out and he went driving, and he decided to, hola, hello everybody. He decided to run over a sheriff's deputy that was helping with traffic control. He targeted this man. Well, he didn't target this man because he didn't know this man. He targeted this man because of his profession. And that, the person, Ryan Hinton's father is Rodney Hinton Jr. Oh, happy birthday, Nick. Happy birthday. So if you're just now joining, we are talking about the unfortunate case of Ryan Hinton and Rodney Hinton Jr. So I'm going to recap real quick since there's 17 of you that just popped on. Ryan Hinton is an 18-year-old man that was shot and killed by Cincinnati police on May 1st. He was caught driving a stolen SUV and had a gun in his possession. When he took off, officers took chase, and the officer felt, his life was in danger, so saw the kid with a gun, kid turned around, he shot, he killed the kid. The very next day, his father, Rodney Hinton Jr., was out driving around in his car, and he was upset, and he saw a Cincinnati or Hamilton County Sheriff's deputy and ran this guy down and killed him. So now not only is Ryan Hinton dead, but now garbled audio. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? Gary? Okay, now we've got messages hidden for review. Let's see here. Okay, good to know. All right. So Yes, but still something's not right. Okay, I am not sure what's going on. Hmm. Well, I mean, I could, take out the Bluetooth and just see if it's better. So give me 1 second, guys. Okay, how about now? Is it better? Anybody? Is the audio better? Oh, okay, cool. All right, so here's what we're going to do. So, as I was saying before, Ryan Hinton is an 18-year-old boy that was shot and killed by Cincinnati police on May 1st. His father, on May 2nd, being distraught that his child is dead, went out and ran over a Hamilton County deputy sheriff, went after this guy, not because he knew the guy, but because of who the guy represented, which is law enforcement. Now, I am from Cincinnati, Ohio. I grew up there. I currently live in North Carolina, but the first 30 years of my life was spent in Cincinnati, Ohio. Usually when you have these type of cases where there's an officer involved shooting and the person who gets shot is black, it can be very complicated. Because based on the body cam footage of the officer who chased down Ryan Hinton, officers claiming he feared for his life, and Ryan Hinton had a gun. The body cam footage shows him chasing the boy. It shows the boy turning around, but it doesn't show him. You can't see whether or not he's actually pointing a gun at the officer. So there's that aspect. The father going out just trying to take out somebody in law enforcement, that's not good either. And he is actually being charged with aggravated murder, 2 counts, murder, and felonious assaults, 2 counts. So, and Ohio has the death penalty. And I do know for a fact that when you kill someone in law enforcement in Ohio, that's an automatic death penalty case right there. I have seen some things when I lived there, and I can tell you that Cincinnati police, there's a lot to be desired with them. They can be corrupt, they can be cruel, they can be all these things. I actually witnessed one time, I was leaving the clubs back in the day, and you have a very big homeless population in Cincinnati. You have a lot of people out there begging for money. And there was this one older black woman. She'd been around for years. She was always asking for money. And she walked up to a group of people and asked for money. And the guy said, "Get away from me." He called her name, and she got upset and she shoved him. And then he hauled off and slapped her across the face. And he said, "I'm a police officer. How dare you?" And he wasn't on duty or anything, but he didn't need to hit her back. And I remember one of the officers that basically works off duty at the clubs, to do a little patrolling, came over and tried to arrest her. And I walked over there. I was like, "Hold up." And I told her what happened. I said, "Look," I said, "she did shove him, but he said this to her first. She asked for money. He called her some names. She shoved him. He hauled off and slapped her across the face. And he's screaming he's a police officer. So you might want to have a chat with him about how he presents himself." And I remember the guy, she went over there, the cop went over there and talked to him and said, "Hey, this woman saw everything, blah, 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 blah." And he's like, "You need to mind your own business," and all that crap. I'm like, whatever. But that's not the only incident I've seen. Up there with that. I mean, I've seen many, many, many things, Ain't no way, insane, yeah. I've seen things, we've had many a shooting up there. In fact, God, I'm dating myself now. 2001, there was the shooting of Timothy Thomas. That whole thing made the cover of Time. Hi. That whole incident made
Time magazine, cover of Time, because you had another situation where you had a white police officer gunning down a young black man. And this, again, this was back in the spring of 2001. And what makes that case unique in its own one, because we had basically Rodney King-esque riots in Cincinnati after that happened. And I actually knew the cop that shot that man. I went to school with him, or I kind of grew up with him. So, oh, you grew up in Detroit? Oh, that's nice, Mark. I've been to Detroit. But it was crazy because after that happened, I mean, this kid, Timothy Thomas, was somebody that you could tell based on his record that the Cincinnati police had been targeting him. Oh, happy birthday early. And because everything they kept pulling him over for was like traffic crap, like he didn't have a seatbelt on, tags were expired, just traffic, it's just nonsense stuff. And this boy had racked up like 30 some charges in the process of like a couple of months. It was really bad. And on this night in particular, he got pulled over again for traffic crap. Why would you say that? Why would you rather be dead than alive, Tim Watkins? Okay. But as I was saying, he got pulled over for a traffic thing, and he took off. He ran, which I don't understand. Let me say this right now. Oh, Tim, that's I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm ignoring the other comment. So, anyway, this particular case is bothersome because the kid ran, the cop chased him down an alley and shot him. The kid didn't even have a gun or anything on him, so he shot him. And the city just went crazy. I mean, you had a lot of people getting pulled out of cars, getting beat up. It was bad. You had a lot of crime, a lot of craziness, and we were on a curfew that didn't get lifted until Easter. It's crazy. You had to be indoors by like 8 p.m. If you were caught out, it had to be an emergency, and okay. Elephant news, not blushing, just hot. My AC's out. Who committed the crimes? Which crimes are we talking about? Oh, thank you, Liam. I'm sorry, Tim. I've lost both my parents, too. But nothing ever happened to that police officer in Cincinnati. He never got charged. It was a whole thing. And I think that is what erupted the entire town. It was very, very scary. And like I said, I was 24 at the time, and my son was a toddler. It was crazy at that point. It was not safe, because I remember going to the grocery store, and there was a black woman that was following me and kept ramming her cart into the back of me, and I was just like, okay. I mean, it was just one of those scenarios where you had a lot of black people who were upset and just lashing out at anybody who was white. So it was bad. And I think, like I said, Cincinnati's a very big city. There's a lot of cops. And I don't think they do the thorough checking they should before they give these people guns. Because the officer that shot Timothy Thomas, his name was Stephen Roach. And if they did any check into him, there's no way in hell he should have had a gun. So, it's crazy. So now, in this case with Ryan Hinton, you've got an 18-year-old boy who is dead, who ran. And I keep saying, stop running, I mean, Lord have mercy, stop running, because you're giving these officers more of a reason to want to shoot you. I mean, just stop running, Or better yet, stop stealing cars. Stop having guns. There's no reason for anybody to steal a car or have a gun on them. How about that? Let's just start there. But these kids are getting shot over stuff. I mean, they're just getting shot and they're getting killed because they're committing stupid crimes. They're not these gangsters that they want to be. It's insane. But Ryan Hinton is now dead. There is a deputy sheriff who had nothing to do with this case who is now dead. And now the father of this boy, Rodney Hinton Jr., is most likely going to die by lethal injection because he killed an officer. You tell me, do you think any of this is justified? I will say this, the Hinton family gave a press conference a couple of days ago, and the father of the father, and the grandfather of the boy, he got up and he spoke, and he said when he looked at the body cam footage, he did not blame anyone. He said, I see two scared people. He said, my grandson was scared and that officer was scared. And I thought that was deep. He said, the officer was scared and my grandson was scared. And another cousin or somebody stood up and said, yeah, he tried to call me that night. He wanted to come in the house and sleep. He was sleeping in a car. Why was this 18-year-old kid sleeping outside? What was going on with that? I don't know. But like my thing is this. So many of these cases with these officer-involved shootings, people are getting pulled over and then they're running. And they're giving them reason to beat on you and to shoot you. When my late husband was alive, I would ask him, why did they run? And he said, Beck, when you're black, you're scared, you just run. And I was like, okay. So, hello, new person who just showed up. And he said that to me. He's like, when you're black, an officer comes around, you get scared, you just do things, you just run. And I'm like, okay. I didn't think that was a good enough excuse, but okay, maybe it is what it is. Maybe it's behavior I just can't seem to understand. Because I've been pulled over by police. I don't want to run, but I'm not black. So there's that. So like I said, it's just a very, very sad case because there's now 2 people dead that necessarily need to die. And there'll probably be a third one that's going to end up dying. Because he killed an officer and he now has the death penalty case. Now it's possible they could plead it down and he just does life in prison and he won't get the needle, but no, I'm not in Columbus. I'm in North Carolina. I grew up in Cincinnati. I've been to Columbus many a time. But no, I grew up in Cincinnati. But like I said, it's just a sad situation. I hate seeing things like this that could have been preventable. All of it could have been preventable. And there was no reason for that boy to run. He stole a car. He had a gun. Why this kid had a gun, I have no idea. If he was part of a gang, if he was trying to get into a gang, I don't know. Hello. Was it Officer Tatum? Now I'm an independent. I'm not Democratic. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I kind of center. I stay in the center of things. And understand me, please, P-boy. Okay. What game is that? I'm not sure what you're talking about. But Officer Tatum did a thing. He was going over the press conference. He was going over the situation, and he was calling Ryan Hinton a thug. He's like, they didn't raise a football star, they raised a thug. And I'm like, that's kind of harsh. Because the pictures they're showing of Ryan Hinton is him like in his high school football uniform. And, they're trying to make him look in his best light. And I understand that. When people die, you always want to try and make them look better than what they were in real life. Like kind of honoring the memory in a different way. Like I said, the kid's dead. He had a whole future. Just understand me, that my problem. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, anyway, back to what I'm talking about. But, like I said, it's just a sad situation all the way around. Like I said, I could, so many cases up there where this has ended like this, and now you're seeing more and more of these cases across the country where people are getting pulled over and they're running. In fact, those officers, oh God, what was that case? This happened in Tennessee, and that was, I saw that one. This is the one where black kid gets pulled over, he takes off, black officers go after him, they finally catch him, and they beat him to death. And you could see them just wailing on him, and it's all on the body cam footage. And they were just wailing on him, and he literally died like a block away from his house. And that was so sad. I forget the guy's the kid's name. But it was like Nashville where they were found innocent. Give me a second here. Google was my thing. Oh, it was Memphis. Tyree Nichols. Yeah, the Tyree Nichols case. I actually saw the footage on that, and there was no way on earth those, yeah, killed by, I mean, in a sense, killed by his own people, but yeah, it was in Memphis. This happened in 2023. So the 3 former Memphis police officers were acquitted of second-degree murder and all other charges in the 2023 beating of black motorist Tyree Nichols. I don't know how they were acquitted. I really don't, because he wasn't fighting them. I don't understand how they got acquitted of that. They should have been found of guilty of manslaughter, something. I don't understand that. And I watched that video. That was very hard to watch. And in my opinion, those officers are guilty. Completely. They're all guilty. So I'm going to take the time here at this point and say thank you to everybody who has popped on and commented and whatnot. I appreciate the support. And if you want to show more support to the channel, please subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. It helps shove these videos out there of other information about other cases, because I do cover a lot of missing people cases, and somebody might see something and say something. You never know. So please subscribe if you can. Like, share, comment, all that good stuff. Let's see, Florida. I'm not sure why the police would be a person or kill a person when there's so many other approaches to do. They have taser guns and they have pressure points all over the body they could use. Very, very good point, Florida. Yes, I agree with that. Why they have to go to shooting, I have no idea. But they're saying that the officer felt his life was threatened because when Ryan Hinton had turned around, he had the gun in his hand. So he took it as him basically pointing it at him. But the body cam footage doesn't prove that or disprove that. That's the complication of that case. Hi, Jamila. What is going on? So we are just talking about the Ryan Hinton case in Cincinnati, Ohio. 18-year-old kid who was chased and shot and killed by Cincinnati police. His father, the very next day, went on road rage and ran over a Hamilton County Sheriff's deputy and killed that man. And now Ryan Hinton's father is now facing the death penalty in that case. And we were just talking about other officer-involved shooting cases. I brought up Timothy Thomas in Cincinnati, Ohio from back in 2001, because I'm from there, so I know the area pretty well. And then we were just talking about Tyree Nichols, about how the 3 Memphis officers that beat him to death have been acquitted of the second-degree murder charges and all other charges in his 2023 beating. Yeah, so that is what we're talking about. But I mean, you hear about these cases, you know, where like officers are just, I don't know if they just feel entitled, you know. I mean, like George Floyd, you know, we're still back and forth. Everybody's still back and forth about if he was murdered, if he died of fentanyl poisoning, I don't care. I don't think the cops with the knee on his neck was going to help. And I think Derek Chauvin and those other officers are where they should be, personally. I can sit there and tell you that if I'm watching officers try to cuff somebody and try to hold them down and they've got a knee on the neck, I'm going around shoving somebody. because I don't care if I get shot or not. You don't do that. That's murder. I mean, you're basically setting somebody out to die, and I can't have that. I don't care what color they are. No. In fact, I had a situation. Um, my late husband is black. Two of my daughters are mixed race, and I was driving my oldest daughter's car, and the car's in her name. And I remember I got pulled over, which was weird. And the officer, when he came to the driver's side, it was just me in the car. When he came to the driver's side, because he was following me for a little bit, so I thought that was odd, but I was like, whatever. He came to the driver's side of the door, saw me, and kind of like did like a double take. And I'm like, okay, you weren't looking for me. And I rolled down the window. I said, is there a problem? And he goes, who owns this car? Which I thought was a really weird question to ask. I said, actually, I said, the car's in my daughter's name. I said, but the financing is in my name. Why? And he goes, who are you? And I told him who I was. Yeah, exactly. I said, I'm, Rebecca. Yeah, I gave my last name. And he goes, oh. And I'm like, so you pulled me over, why? And he goes, you got one of those plate holders, and it's blocking some of the information on the license plate. And I said, what? And I get out, and you can read everything. You know it's a North Carolina license plate. You can see the tag. You can see the county. You can see all these things. Now, it was covering a little bit, but you could still tell what it said. And I just looked at him, and I said, okay. And he goes, yeah, see all that? That's not supposed to be there. But then 5 cars go past, blocking everything. And I was like, okay. I truly believe I'm driving a Honda SUV. It's got covered in stickers. It screams young girl and hello. And I think he ran the plate, saw, because it pulls up your driver's license and everything, and saw that it belonged to a black female. And I think the guy wanted to harass her, but he got me instead. So, which I'm kind of glad he got me and not her, because I think she would have been hysterical. So, but wow, am I going to jail? No, I'm not going to jail. Oh, hi, Shadow Wolf. But this has been a couple years ago. Actually, I think my husband was still, this has been over 3 years ago. My husband was still alive at that point. But it was crazy that they pulled me over, and I just said, okay. I can't prove that, but just the way the whole interaction went down, it was very, very odd. So, but like I said, I'm used to cops not being on the up and up. I do. To answer your question, Jamila, I do. Okay, let's see. What else can we talk about? I mean, you tell me. I mean, do you think the police force is corrupt in general? I'm not talking anybody specifically, but do you think most police forces are corrupt? Okay. All right, Shadow Wolf says yes. Anybody else want to give an opinion on that? I mean, we did have that whole thing where it was like defund the police and all that, but I don't know how wise that is, because if you don't have somebody to keep law and order, then you have chaos in the world. Can we just stop talking about police? I mean, we could, but that's the topic for tonight. I think any police force can be corrupt, but I also think any government force can be corrupt. Anybody can be corrupt. Let's be honest here. Let's just stop, splitting hairs. Anybody can be corrupt. Anybody in power. That could be in business, in religion, in government, in a household. It could be anybody. I am messed up for that. I'm okay, Jamila. All right. But there you have it. I mean, we got a new pope. That's kind of cool. First American pope, which is cool. Okay, we got more comments. Let's see. Government doesn't make any sense, in my opinion. Bradley Maston, I don't know about corrupt, but definitely not right. Okay, Bradley, I can go with that too. I can go with that too. Okay. Oh, thank you, Shadow Wolf. I appreciate that. Like I said, subscriptions, people, I need them. You know why? Because I just do. And also, it helps the channel. It helps support content creators like me who talk about whatever topic we're talking about, whether it's crime, whether it's crafts, whether it's history, whatever. Okay. Well, thank you, Shadow Wolf. Shadow Wolf is becoming my favorite subscriber right now. Because, like I said, I've been doing these lives here more lately because I, don't really do them all that often. Hello. You're Korean. Okay, we got people that from Korea on here. I don't do them that often because usually when I try to talk about crime, I try to do a lot of research. I got pictures, I've got all kinds of stuff, and I don't have the software to upload it when I'm talking live. I just don't have it. And yeah, so I am now trying to. Okay, Jamila, you're my favorite subscriber. All of you, actually, how about this? All of my subscribers are my favorite subscribers. How about that? And if you want to be a favorite subscriber, subscribe. Boom, done. So, nice to meet you. But, thank you. But, I forgot my, oh yeah. So, yeah, like I said, I'm doing more lives here lately. And I've not been doing as much on Facebook because I have like 1,500 people on Facebook who follow me. But can I get them over here to YouTube to subscribe? No. Very annoying. And anyway, so I'm more on here. Okay. Jamila, sweetheart, hate like I don't really care. You just hate me? Okay. Now you sound like my late husband. But, fun times. Married to that man for 22 years. He was awful to me. Yeah, exactly. Stop with the dang hate. But towards the end there, it was really bad before he died. Yeah. Died in a car accident. Did it to himself. And what I mean by that, not like he wanted to end his life, but he wasn't supposed to drive because he had epilepsy. And he didn't like being told what to do. You love me? Thanks, Jen. Hello, Outlaw. And the Korean person who Ing, I guess, they're listening. So that's cool. Thanks, guys. But because I do talk about domestic violence a lot. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm a victim of that, and yeah, I was a victim of that for a long time, and that does something to you over time, and wow, okay, people are just going back and forth now with this whole hate thing. I'm a very old woman, huh, Jamila? That's fine. I can be old. Everyone gets old. And how was I an abuser as well? Elephant News. I'm curious on that one. You were old too, Outlaw? Okay. Thank you, I like Shadow Wolf. Shadow Wolf is like, got my back here. But verbal abuse. I mean, he and I did argue. I'm not going to lie. I am no day at the beach at times. So, it is what it is. But he's gone. Did I want him dead? No. No. Broke my heart. Broke my heart when he died. Because, block the haters. Entitlement. Wow. because I had given him an ultimatum about no, longer than that, about 4 months before he died. And how was I abused? I mean, it was physical, it was mental, it was emotional, you know, you name it, he did it. And he was what is the person, hurt people. He was a hurt person, and he just hurt people. And yeah, you know, he had a very bad upbringing. His mom was very abusive, and he just went through a lot, but never got help for it. And I remember I got him into therapy. God, it was about 3 months before he died. His mom had passed away like 3 months earlier, and he was not dealing with that very well. And he actually admitted to the therapist that he had been beating on me. And can you see it all? Okay. I can't see print, okay? These are my reading glasses. I can't see the print on the screen. That's why I squint my eyes sometimes. But, so he admitted it. So it's in a medical record that he admitted to hurting me. And it was crazy because I was sitting right there when he admitted it. I just, like, my jaw dropped, like, oh my God, you actually admitted this. So, but he was a massive alcoholic, drank way too much. He also abused opioids because he had many orthopedic issues, like a bad back, bad hip, and he got addicted. So he was on course. He had to get a lot of dental work done, and he was going to have his hip replaced. And I told him, and I was so scared to tell him this too. But I went downstairs to his office. He was in there playing games or whatever. And I said to him, I said, look, I said, I can't do this anymore. You know, I'm not happy. I know you're not happy. And the way things are going, you're going to end up hurting yourself. And when you have your hip replacement and your oral surgery and all that, I'll be there for you, helping you with all that. But after that, you have a choice to make. It's like either you go to rehab and deal with this, or you have to leave. We have to get a divorce. I said, I can't do this anymore. And he sat there. He was quiet for a second because I wasn't sure how he was going to respond. How he was going to respond to this. And he finally said, I can't believe you'd abandoned me. And I just was like, okay. His response to that told me everything I needed to know about this marriage. And went back upstairs, went to the bedroom, and I just sat there and cried. Because I knew at that moment, my marriage was over. Like, officially, like that's when it hit me, like, it was over. Probably been over long before that, but at that point, it was real to me that it was over. And yeah. Well, Jen, to answer that question, it looks, I mean, depends on what part of town you're in. I mean, it's not bad. It's a big city. It's not bad. A lot of people live on the Kentucky side of the Ohio River, because you're only like basically like 10 minutes from downtown Cincinnati. And that's nice. That's more suburban. So, but yeah, that's the story. He did not want to give up doing what he wanted to do, and he knew he was going to have to leave. Yeah, Bradley, I agree, and thanks, Gary. Um, all right. I mean, we can talk about some Diddy stuff. I mean, one of their witnesses has gone missing. Yeah, crazy. Witness for the prosecution. They haven't announced who that person is, but this is a person that they can't seem to find. So that's crazy. Now there's talk that he may not, um, that the prosecution's case may not be as strong as what they think. Crazy. Now what? Yeah, they have 4 witnesses scheduled to testify. I know Cassie Ventura is supposed to be the big one. That's the ex-girlfriend that we saw in the CNN video. Well, I mean, Diddy needs a lot of something. I don't know if it's prayers. Could be just getting his butt kicked for being a crazy person, but I don't know. Hello. And you. Okay. But, okay, so let's recap. So we've got Ryan Hinton dead. Rodney Hinton Jr. killed someone and now facing the death penalty in Cincinnati. Cops overall, in my experience, have been pretty corrupt. And I am a survivor of domestic violence. I think that's a pretty good recap. Yeah, I agree with you on that, Gary. I mean, at this point, they're still doing jury selection and all that. And I know opening arguments were supposed to start on Monday, but I don't know if that is going to happen or not. So we'll see what happens. That's definitely a case I'm going to keep an eye on. I've got some local ones here that are coming up. The TK Burton case, those that are accused of killing him are getting ready to go back to court. I think like June 9th, I think it's when they go back. And that's one I'd love to be a fly on the wall in the courtroom for. But yeah, we've got so many things going on here in the Guilford County area of North Carolina where I'm at. So many missing, so many dead bodies. They keep finding bodies randomly everywhere, like in lakes, on sides of roads, whatever. It's a bit crazy. A bit crazy. So, okay, well, I'm going to hop off here because it's Friday night and I have coffee and I believe I have some TV to watch. I don't know yet, or research to do. I haven't decided yet. But thank you all for hopping on here and listening to me drone on about this for the last, 45 minutes. Woo. So, last plea, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please, 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 please do so, because it helps with the algorithm and get the information out there. And it's free. It doesn't cost anything. So, thank you for those who've already subscribed. Thank you for those who have come back after subscribing. You guys are all my favorites. And those of you that keep watching and not subscribing, come on, guys, just pull the trigger. Subscribe. You'll enjoy it. So, anyway, good night, everyone. Thank you again for tuning in. This is Rebecca with Red True Crime. Be weird, be rude, be safe, as I always say, because if you're weird and rude, they won't take you. Oh, thank you, Bradley. I appreciate that. And anyway, so yeah, drop me a line. Let me know what you guys think I should cover next. If there's anything you want me to put it in the community chat, or you can message me on Facebook. I go under my actual name on Facebook. It's Rebecca Reinersman Ingram. So I also have a Red True Crime Facebook page, but I do all my stuff on my main page. So find me on there if you want. Oh, hi, Alice. Yeah, I'm getting ready to hop off here, Alice. I'm sorry. Recap is Ryan Hinton, Cincinnati shooting, and other things. So, but thank you for the shelf. I appreciate that. And I'm going to hop off here, everybody, because like I said, you know, it's late. But be weird, be rude, be safe, as I always say. Be safe. Don't get taken. And like I said, just catch this once it's uploaded to YouTube and just watch the whole thing. So everybody have a good night and be careful. Good weekend. I might be back on this weekend. I haven't decided yet. Mother's Day is Sunday. I might do it on Sunday. I don't know. All right. Bye, everybody.